as a sponsorship seeker, you have to fully understand what is your property valued at. And I think a lot of times sponsorship seekers, they make a huge mistake, myself included. I have made this mistake before of just being willing to take or ready to accept whatever. And I'm like, no, don't have that mindset. You are worth more than just anything. Know what your worth is. Know your value. Know the value of the experience that you provide to people. There are stops along the way, but there's no one point of destination of where you're going. It's a journey. So when you get in that car and you start driving, you want to make sure that when you reach certain destinations that you're able to have access to what you need. You're worth more than what you're placing your value at. I have a lot of big dreams, and I don't plan to ever stop. Hey, this is Jessica Chinyelu, and you're listening to Dreams and Drive.
Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 243. This episode is brought to you by Chinyele's Kitchen, maker of Caribbean-inspired, high-quality, handcrafted sauces, marinades, spices, and cakes. And if you watch the latest Dreams and Drive Instagram TV video or YouTube video, you'll see that I started this new series called In the Kitchen, and I created this delicious shrimp recipe using their spicy mango chutney. All of Chinyele's Kitchen's products are full of bold Caribbean flavors that you'll love. So if you're looking to support or want to learn more about a Black-owned food brand founded by a dream driver and her mother from Trinidad and Tobago, let's support our fellow dream drivers and visit dreamsanddrive.com/Chinyele. That's CAMELLA. And you can use the code DID10 for 10% off at checkout. That's dreamsanddrive.com/Chinyele and use the code DID10 for 10% off at checkout. All right. That mango chutney was bomb-tastic. It was really good. So today's guest is Jessica Chinyelu, aka the sponsorship lady. She is a Nigerian-American wife and mompreneur based in Dallas, Texas. Jessica is the founder of the nonprofit Women of Purpose, but she's best known for helping people learn how to secure corporate sponsorships. She's worked with brands such as Herbal Essence, Kroger, Gillette, Walmart, Reebok, NYX, just to name a few. And on this episode, Jessica's going to be giving us dream drivers a crash course on how to secure sponsorships for ourselves, right? How we can do this in our own lives, in our own businesses. She gives us the nitty gritty. Some of the things that we talk about are sponsorship tactics to avoid, what are brands looking for, why data will always get you more, and also why the whole argument that my brand is too small, I can't get sponsorships, why that is not true. You're also going to hear from Jessica about her journey to entrepreneurship and the things that she encountered and how she found her niche. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you're sharing it with your own community. You can find us across the board, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dreams and Drive. And make sure you're using that hashtag Dreams and Drive as well. And if you want to join our weekly newsletter, The Keys, where you'll get weekly updates about the show from me, Dream Driver behind the scenes, all that good stuff, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. Lastly, guys, if this is your first time listening, or if you have not already subscribed, wherever you're listening to this, please hit that subscribe button so that you get notifications every time we have a new episode. All right, let's hear from Jessica.
Hey, Raina, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to just be on this podcast today.
I am super excited as well. So we got to tell the folks how this all came to be. So if any of you follow our former guest, Maya Elias, I want to say a few weeks ago, she posted this post on her page that was basically like, what was it again, Jessica?
So it was a post that was really all about helping entrepreneurs since we are all in this COVID-19 mess. And basically what she was saying is, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs need help right now. Like, you can't afford my services or other people's services. So how about we barter services? And she was very clear that she wasn't in need of anything. But if you were an entrepreneur that was in need of something and you had a service that you could offer and willing to barter, then put it out there. And I mean, it was crazy because my need was graphic design and a website and some branding content. And my offer was, hey, let me connect you to a database that I use, which is for influencers or people who are trying to gain corporate sponsorships. And the response was overwhelming, but that's how you and I got connected. So
yeah, you know, what I did was I wasn't necessarily looking for something, but I just wanted to start, you know, updating my screenshot list on my phone of interesting people that I thought, oh, maybe I could reach out to them. Maybe there's other ways we can work together. And when I saw that you specialize in sponsorships based upon some of the work that I'm doing with Dreams and Drive, I reached out, we scheduled a call, we had a chat, and I'm like, you need to come on the show. And this is how we are here today. So Dream Drivers, you guys are in for a treat.
Yay. I'm so excited.
So let us go back in time. I love to start off our interviews, you know, going back and really reflecting on who you were as a child. So Jessica, tell me, what do you think was inspiring, or what do you think, what was inspiring you as a kid growing up?
You know, so I would say when I read your question, you sent me the notes. I was like, man, that's such a great question. And I started really just going back down memory lane. And believe it or not, music was something that inspired me so much as a kid. I just remember my mom, she sang, my grandmother, we grew up Kojic, Church of God in Christ, and we were always in church singing 24/7. We would travel a lot because my mom was always in singing groups, but I just saw in her like that drive in her to just make money and, you know, really live her passion singing songs. And so I began to take on that gift. I don't sing anymore these days, but I would write music. I would make up songs, and my parents never ever once like strayed it away from me. Like they were never the type of parents that would be like, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? They allowed me to be whatever I wanted to be. So it was, if I wanted to take dance classes or be an astronaut, I remember my dad purchasing me. I told him I wanted to be an astronaut, and he was like, okay, well, do you want us to get you a telescope? And I was like, yeah. And I would spend hours and hours like at nighttime looking at the moon. But it started with music, and then it just kind of went on to, okay, well, I want to be a dancer. And then they signed me up for dance classes. And I think that really inspired me as I got older to never be afraid to do what I want to do or to pursue something. And I just feel like it started with music and my parents just simply allowing me to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. And I think that's how the gift of entrepreneurship was really birthed inside of me. It's through music and the support of my parents.
Wow. So what was the dream then, like going into college or even as a young, older an adult, right? Like young adult, what was Jessica trying to be?
Crazy. I used to watch Perry Mason when I was little. Like, so first it was, we would watch The Simpsons, then I Love Lucy, and then this is so crazy, Perry Mason. And there was something about Perry Mason and him being a lawyer that just really intrigued me. So because I loved music, I was like, you know what? I love music and entertainment, so I'm going to be an entertainment attorney. So I had this huge plan of always going into the music industry to help all of these artists or all of these managers, and be their big celebrity attorney. And that's what I was doing in college. I got my associate's degree in paralegal studies, then went on to get my bachelor's degree in government with an emphasis in legal studies. And I soon realized that I don't know if law school is really for me. So I did a law school program called CLEO, which is basically Council on Legal Education Opportunities for minority students. And I basically went to law school for a summer. It was like an internship program, and I hated it. I did not like it. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, oh no, this is definitely not for me. But what it did help me realize in college is that I still loved the entertainment scene. I loved being a part of events, and that's how I got into club promoting.
Oh, wait. Okay, let me make a note of that, club promoter. But before that, like, how did it feel for you, you know, realizing that this dream you had wasn't really what you wanted anymore? So I think a lot of us get stuck, or a lot of us experience that, but we don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah. So for me, you know, it's interesting because I'm half Nigerian, and when you see every single one of your Nigerian friends or African friends, they're all on this path to go into med school, and some of them becoming engineers or doctors or pharmacists. it was it was a little discouraging for me because I felt like, well, dang, I done gone to college and I was planning on going to law school. And here I am, my senior year of undergrad, and I'm not going. I felt a little discouraged because I was like, what else do I have? Why everybody else is graduating and they're moving on to medical school or whatever professional degrees they're going to go and obtain. I felt like I didn't have anything, but I also knew that I'm not going to waste any more years in school. So I went on and got my MBA because I knew that I wasn't going to work for someone else the rest of my life. And I knew that whatever I do, it's going to somehow be in the form of helping other entrepreneurs or somewhere in and so I just continued on the path of entrepreneurship and making money and doing what I love and doing what I knew what best to do, event related wise. And I'm so happy that I did that. Although, yes, it was a little discouraging. It was very hard. I'm glad that I kept going, because I have a lot of friends who are certainly unhappy in their careers right now. So
I know, right? But did you ever decide, were you doing this, were you a full-time entrepreneur at this point, or did you kind of get a job to get that, not base, but to have some sort of fallback during the meantime while you built the entrepreneurial journey?
Yes, I did. So I actually worked as a paralegal for a while, and I thank God for it, my boss at the time, because he actually sat down and had a conversation with me, and he said, I like you a lot. I like your drive, but he said, I don't think that this career path is for you. And I think it takes and he actually still hits me up till this day and said, I need you to come back and work for me and do some marketing stuff, but I really was very thankful for that. But even after working for him or leaving my job with him at that law firm, I went on to work as an event manager for different hotels. And I loved everything that I learned at those hotels. But it drained the heck out of me because, when you're an event manager and you work at a large property like the Gaylord Tech Center, even if you work at a small property, events take a lot of work. You're working with meeting planners. You have to make sure the banquet event orders are okay. Sometimes you have corporate entities that are coming in and they have week-long events, and you as the event manager have to be there from 6 a.m. until midnight when they have their last event, or when their last event is ending. So it really was a burnout for me because it was just like, I know that I have dreams inside of me that I would love to just pursue. And I know that there is more, and I can't do it because I'm stuck here. But if I didn't have those jobs, I don't think those jobs would have given me the knowledge and the experience that I have now. So I kind of look at everything that I've done, whether that be the law school program that I was in or going to college. I look at it as every single thing has helped me become the woman that I am today. So I feel like those things needed to happen. I feel like all of the corporate experience that I have only makes my resume much more reputable, So I thank God for the experience. I definitely thank God for the experience. And I also thank God for the money because the money was needed to help fund my dreams. So.
What were the skills that you think you were really becoming good at during this time of building your career in those early days?
So believe it or not, and let me tell you, I'm such a realist. I keep it very real. So when I was a club promoter, I worked with a lot of Africans. And so I became like this queen African chick, that was in this.
And tell us where you are in the United States so we can get the location down.
Yeah. So I'm based in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
So I'm in a suburb, Salina, but it's basically just Dallas. So yeah, and that's pretty much where I've been. I was born and raised in Greenville, Texas, which is about an hour outside of Dallas, but we're primarily in Dallas now. I love it here. I don't think that I could live anywhere else in the U.S.
You gotta come to New Jersey.
Girl, let me tell you, I like New Jersey. I do. I like Jersey, but I'm truly a Texas gal. Like I really am a Southern Texas gal. I love it here. And if I lived anywhere else, it would be overseas. It wouldn't be anywhere in the United States.
Okay.
But
so you're the Southern African chick or African queen.
Yep. And I think some of the skills that I really took on and I learned, being the Southern African chick I was always around African people. So when I did go back into the corporate world, and when I say I did go back, so there was a period where I was not working because I was completely focused on entrepreneurship. I failed miserably and I had to go back to corporate America. And when I went back, it really helped me to learn how to communicate with people who did not look like me. I realized that, oh my God, me working only with Africans kind of in a way threw me in a box. And I realized that sometimes I would walk into meetings and I would feel a little intimidated. I mean, I don't have that problem anymore, but I used to have that problem before. So I think my communication skills and working with different, being more diverse, working with different groups of people. The other thing I would say is how I looked at money. When you work with, I hate to say this, but when you work with Africans like will really haggle you about everything. I didn't really realize like truly what my worth was and my value was. As I worked in corporate America, it really taught me about my pricing strategy when I did become go back fully into entrepreneurship. And it really helped me to understand, okay, like this contract here needs to be set up this way. This is how much I should be charging for time. This is how much you really truly need to plan out when it comes to your events when you're hosting. This is how much time you should have versus waiting, 2 months before an event to throw something together. So it gave me a lot of good planning and organizational skills to tighten that up a bit, because before I just kind of randomly did things as a planner. But it really, really tightened that up for me. So, there were so many different skills that I gained just in working in corporate America or going back to corporate America.
And I think that's something a lot of us can resonate with, because there are so many things that we'll learn. Even if right now we're not able to pursue the dream 100% full time, the job you're working at right now, there is still so much value you can give to it and so much value you can get out of it as well. But let's fast forward to 2012, right? Women of Purpose, you had this idea to start this conference. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Woman of Purpose, it was really birthed out of a lot of my pain. I was coming out of the club industry and I realized that, oh my God, like I made a lot of good money, but I also made a lot of mistakes. So it was 2009. I was sitting in my bedroom and I honestly was under the influence big time. And I just kind of heard this voice saying, Jessica, Jessica, Jessica. And I never heard this voice before. It honestly kind of freaked me out. And I just felt like it was God giving me a very clear picture. I was standing on this stage and I was speaking to this massive crowd. I couldn't even count the number of people. I remember everything that I was wearing. And then I began to write down everything in that vision. Okay.
Wow.
Now, yeah, every little thing. I put it in a PowerPoint presentation and God was like, look, if you do this, like if you follow me, this is what I have for you. And I was like, okay, I've never seen myself in this light. So I think that if I do this, if I listen to you, and it's so clear, this vision is so clear right now, I feel like I can do it. So fast forward to 2012, I started hosting these Christian open mic nights because that was like my safe place. I knew I wasn't going back to the club scene. It was a dangerous place for me. But through those Christian open mic nights, I had a lot of women start reaching out to me and they're like, oh my God, Jessica, you should host something. You should organize something, organize a Bible study. And I'm like, Bible study is not for me. I don't think I want to do that. I don't know anything about hosting a Bible study. Then I received one phone call from this young woman and she, honestly, I felt like she's like Little Miss Perfect. And she just is crying and bawling like, Jessica, I see what you do. What you're doing is so amazing. You need to do something for women. And I don't know what it was about her in particular. Mm-hmm. Her phone call just really pushed me to actually do it. So I sent out like a text message to about 12 women. 8 women ended up showing up. We had there was no real big agenda. It was just a matter of these 8 women sitting down. We wrote letters to God. We put them in a box. They didn't sign their names, and we all drew the letters and read them. And as everyone started reading the letters, we all realized that we had huge dreams. Like, we had huge dreams, but we didn't have a community of women that could really help us make those dreams thrive and flourish and come to life. And so we became that for one another. That's how Woman of Purpose, it was birthed in 2009, but it didn't come to life until 2012. And that same girl who called me and was like, Jessica, you need to do this for women. She looks up and she goes, oh my God, what if this turns into a conference? And that's when the light bulb moment went off for me that, oh my goodness, when God was speaking to me in 2009 and showing me this like thing with women, this is just only the beginning of what's happening. So fast forward a little bit more to like 2013, I started polling all of the women because we started meeting monthly. We started meeting monthly at my mom's house and at different people's houses. And it grew. Like, it got to the point where I had like almost 100 people in my mom's house. And I'm like, I have to we got to stop meeting in homes. Like, we need to do more. So I started polling all of the women and I asked them, hey, if we were to host a conference, what would you like the topic to be? Who are some of the speakers that you would like to see? And so we planned for 50 people to attend the first conference. And I was really blown away because the first day we put out tickets, we sold over 100 tickets. By the time we got,
gosh. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. By the time we got to the first conference, the actual conference day, we were well over, like, right at about 650 people still trying to buy tickets at the door. And we couldn't handle it. We couldn't take any more because we were over capacity. So it blew my mind. And I always go back to the vision that God gave me in 2009, like, very, very clear that, like, man, this is what you're going to do if you follow me. And so I think that's, if I honestly feel like visions, if you are someone that receives visions, don't take those visions lightly. Like, that was literally the very first encounter that I had with God. Some people don't believe in God. They have a higher power. But even if you don't believe in God and you believe there's some higher being out there that gives you visions, trust the visions, because if I had not trusted those visions, I don't know where I would be. Woman of Purpose was the thing that has really honestly helped me to have the credibility that I have today. So, that's how Woman of Purpose got started in 2012. I feel like I just gave you a whole long story.
No. But I think this is real. And I think I love that you went into such detail. And the thing that you mentioned, I think a lot of us struggle with is trusting that vision, right? So what do you think really goes into trusting a vision? Because there's so much uncertainty that goes with that, right?
Yeah. Ooh, man. I'm going to explain it from my perspective. For me, I've made some mistakes in trusting the vision, because I think a lot of times when God gives you such a big vision where you see yourself like pretty much standing in a stadium of like over 20, 30,000 people, which was what was in this vision, sometimes you try to rush to make that vision happen so quickly. And what we have to understand about the vision is that, look, the vision doesn't happen overnight. These are visions that it's a step-by-step process. And so you have to be willing to trust God, or to trust whatever being that you believe in, that, okay, I'm literally going to take this day by day, step by step, and I'm not going to be running to get there. Like, I just have to know that it's going to happen. And I used to really run myself tired trying to get to this big, huge picture. But when God gives you the vision, you don't know, like, did he show you that vision because it's going to happen in 20 years time? Because it's going to happen in 3 years time and 4 years time? I saw 30,000, but the first conference was 650 people. You understand what I'm saying? And the numbers kept going larger and larger from that. Mm-hmm. So I'm grown. Like, you have to understand with the vision is that it's a gradual process. I wrote the vision down. I'm a believer in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, write the vision down plain and clear on your tablet so that those who see it may run with it. I think it's so important to continuously revisit the vision that God has given you, because if you don't, you'll start trying to do a whole bunch of things on your own or stray away from the original vision that God gave you. So it's just one of those things where I had to always go back to it. Like, any interview that I've ever done, you will always hear me talk about the vision that I had in 2009. It sticks with me because I know that I'm still working on becoming that woman that God has shown me. I know I feel like I'm getting there I'm closely like getting to that 30,000, like, so, more and more, or that large, huge audience, but you just have to take it day by day, step by step. That's the biggest thing for me. That's probably the biggest thing I would tell anybody who's received the vision.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Hopefully our dream drivers too are just thinking about what's that vision that you are not trusting, but know that you need to. So our episode partner this week is Chinyelu Kitchen, and I have a little story to tell y'all. So if you don't already know, if you haven't listened to episode 242, surprise, I am pregnant. And it's crazy because I really have been having the urge to cook a lot throughout this pregnancy. So when the brand approached me, I was so eager to learn more about them and also to start using and testing their products. So I met up with my girl Samantha. You might remember her from Front Seat Fridays, that episode back in December. And I'm like, I want to try this spicy mango chutney. So we thought of a recipe, something sweet, but also a little bit savory that would go and complement the sweet and spiciness of the spicy mango chutney. And the thing about the mango chutney is that it's great used as a dip or as a spicy alternative to cocktail sauce. So I said, okay, I got it, right? It's a quick and easy sweet lemon pepper shrimp recipe. You can find it on the Dreams and Drive Instagram TV or YouTube page. What I loved about the Chinyelu Kitchen Spicy Mango Chutney was that it was tasty and flavorful, right? You got that sweet, but you also got that kick of heat. I love that it's healthy. All of Chinyelu Kitchen products are handcrafted. You don't have all these added preservatives and things that are just really bad for your body. And also what I love is that we're supporting a small brand. Chinyelu Kitchen was founded by a dream driver and her mother from Trinidad and Tobago, based here in the DMV area. I love seeing dream drivers putting their dreams into drive, and Chinyelu Kitchen is definitely an example of that. So their spicy mango chutney is not the only thing you can try. You can also try their mango pepper sauce, their Trini hot pepper sauce, and their island herb blend, aka Caribbean green seasoning. Chinyelu Kitchen ships to all 50 states, but if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, you can also arrange for pickup options as well. So to learn more and to get more exclusive Dreams and Drive deals, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/Chinyelu. That's dreamsanddrive.com/CAMELLA. Remember, you can also use the code DID10 for 10% off at checkout. All right, that's DID10 for 10% off checkout at Chinyelukitchen.com. All right, guys, please help me support this brand. And remember, keep putting your dreams in drive, just like Chinyelu Kitchen is. Jessica, let's talk about the thing that, you are Miss the Sponsorship Lady, right? And one of the things that you uncovered during this Woman of Purpose planning process, was just how much sponsorships could matter, right? Talk to me about your introduction into sponsorship specifically, and how you kind of worked into going from having none to getting your whole conference paid for.
Yeah, great question. So, it really started through, again, so many women that would attend. Woman of Purpose connected me to a lot of people. And one of the women that I came in contact with, she actually invited me to speak at one of her events. And after I spoke at her event, she said, "Hey, I'd like to have dinner with you." And so we went out and we had dinner. And she said, "I've really been meaning to ask you, how are you paying for your conference?" And I said, I used student loan money for the first one. The second one, I had a few sponsors, but I'm really just having a challenge with getting sponsors. You might as well just say student loan money and coming out of my own pocket is what's paying for this thing. And she was like, "I'm really shocked because your conference is so excellent. I've always thought that you had major backing." And she said, I'm going to help you. So she asked if she could see my sponsorship proposal. I pulled it out while we were there at dinner, showed it to her over my phone. And she was like, "Oh, girl, you need to take this out. This is wrong. This. No. She was like, "This is the reason why people are saying no." She's like, "This is also another reason why you're not getting any responses from people." And so she said, "I'm going to shoot you a few sponsorship proposal examples." She sent it to me. I started doing the things that she said to do. She kept telling me never to give up as I'm reaching out to these sponsors. I continue to follow up. club, but also understand that even after the fact, like I need to have a post relationship, continue that post event relationship. And so I started like just, implementing a lot of the things that she was saying, and I started to see increase. That was the first thing. I'm like, okay, I'm getting responses. Plus, she actually sponsored my conference as well. The second thing that I did is one of my mentors, they told me, they were like, Jess, you need to change up your board. Your board and Woman of Purpose, none of these people are people who know how to make money. And so even if you're not hosting a conference and you're an entrepreneur, like seriously, your net worth is your network. So she was like, you need to change your network because you don't have a network of people around you or within your board that can help you go out with your fundraising initiatives or your sponsorship initiatives. And so I was like, oh, she's absolutely right. So I cleaned up shop, got rid of my board. Some of them they left on their own, which was that made me perfectly happy. But I got a new board, and these people on my board were like, my new board were like VPs of hospitals, VPs in certain companies. And so I sat them all down in a room. And I said, look, hey, I need each one of you to give me at least one to anywhere between 5 to 10 sponsors that you think, or contacts that you believe would want to sponsor the Woman of Purpose conference. And through that, I mean, they just set up, it gave me warm leads. They set up meetings for me. And that was how I actually raised my first 25,000. And that was like within a span of 4 months, so it was really simple. It didn't take me putting out like, a bunch of posts on social media and doing all these like fundraising things. It was really that simple. And so through that, like, I just started learning like, okay, this is what I was doing wrong before. Between, the tips that I got from the other woman, it helped. And it eventually led up into me raising over 6 figures in sponsorships to host my conference. So now, like, I don't even have to worry about anything coming out of pocket from my conference. So speakers are paid and I have a little bit left over, so I think that one woman really taking me under her wings and really helping me, that helped a ton. It really helped me a ton. And it opened my eyes to, I could be doing a lot more. I could be doing so much more than what I have been doing. So that's how I got started, and getting my conference 100% sponsored. And because everybody kept asking me, how are you doing it? That's what led into the sponsorship lady.
I was going to say that. So how did you then, or what was the mindset shift for you realizing, all right, I did this, I can help other people do it?
A couple of things. And in 2018, when I hosted my last conference, I started to kind of feel a little uncomfortable. And I was really uncomfortable because everyone kind of knew me as, oh, this is that Woman of Purpose girl. She hosts these conferences. And yes, I make a lot of impact through my conferences, but I'll be honest, Woman of Purpose as a nonprofit, I really didn't set it up to be a profitable brand. So I really honestly was just hosting my conference, relying on ticket sales and sponsorships. But as a true business owner, as a successful business owner, I think you and I, we both know that can't keep you afloat. So it cannot, it really cannot. And it's not like I was hosting multiple events throughout the year. It was really just the conference. So it wasn't enough. And I just, me and God, we'd be having these conversations and I was like, okay, God, I don't know when I'm going to host another conference. I know you told me to do this, but what is my career? Woman of Purpose is not my career. Woman of Purpose is not my thriving business. And I was like, I felt like he was really nudging me to take a pause. And so I did. I cried and I cried and I cried because I was afraid of, if I take a pause from Woman of Purpose, what will people think? I was afraid because I was like, if I take a pause, what else do I have to be relevant? And so he was like, don't worry, just take this pause and I'm going to help you transform every single one of your gifts into profitable businesses. So I literally got a whiteboard that my assistant at the time, she got me this whiteboard and he was like, okay, everything that you've done over the last 10 years, I want you to write it down. And I was like, okay. So I did. And he was like, all right, now everything that you did not like, I want you to remove it. And like, if you don't desire it to be in your future, remove it. So then I had like, of course, Woman of Purpose, because I was like, I love this and I know this will stay in my life and in my future. I wrote down that, hey, I'm really good at doing sponsorships. So at the time I was still kind of like, should I really teach this to people? And
yes.
There's an artist that I've been working with for over the last 10 years. His name is Jonathan Trailer. At the time I was his manager. Now I just handle sponsorships and brand endorsements for him. But I was like, I know I want to continue with this because I've always loved working with him. Remember I told you when I was a little girl, I was doing, music was my thing.
The club promoting, the entertainment.
There you go. So it's just, hey, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, but it turned out to be something else. So I was working with him and I knew that I loved that. And then of course there's my influencer work. And so I really just began to break down everything. And then after that, I took, like 4 months to really build things out. Jonathan hits me up and he says, Jess, I would love for you to go out and get sponsors for me. And he had never asked me this before. He was like, I've seen you do it for your conference, so I know you can do it for me. And I was like, okay. So he was kind of like that first person.
Like that little push, right?
Yeah, that gave me that extra push. And he was like, Jess, you can do this. Like, he would call me like at least twice a week to tell me, you can do this. You need to do this. Like you gonna do this. And so Jonathan, really pushed me. And through that, he told me one sponsor that he wanted. And I just went full force with it. And Jonathan, one of his contracts is actually my biggest contract to date. Or one of my biggest contracts, because now I've gotten a lot of other contracts since then. But after that, that was like the confirmation and the big push that, okay, yes, I absolutely need to do this. I'm going to teach people. I did an Instagram live with a young woman. Her name is the Chloe brand. Shout out to her. She's pretty awesome. When I did my Instagram live with her, it was a 2-hour live and people like stayed on it. Like we had to jump on hers. People stayed on. They had a lot of questions. I put out a guide, my sponsorships guide, and people purchased it. And I'm not going to even lie. I probably shouldn't say this, but I didn't have any of the content written when I put that out there. But I really just wanted to test it out and see if people would actually buy into it. And they did. And that's when I realized like, okay, between Jonathan, this Instagram live, me speaking, people inviting me to speak at their conferences on this subject matter. Yes, there's a huge need. And I will tell you, like, I've done Woman of Purpose for a long time, but this right here is my business. This right here, what I put out there is like, was God trying to show me that like, yes, you are more than just Woman of Purpose, but Woman of Purpose is what helped open up the door for you to be able to do what you're doing now. Because if I never actually gotten the experience from obtaining my own conference sponsors through the Woman of Purpose conference, I wouldn't be able to have the knowledge or share with people what I know now, So, yeah, that's how I got to the sponsorship lady and teaching people, working with Jonathan. And I'm so grateful to just be able to help and just continue to help more people. My goal right now is this year, I would love to help 150 women. I hopefully even more than that, but at least 150 women or people, men too, secure corporate sponsorships and even brand endorsement. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? One of the things as you were talking, I'm thinking about the whole word dream driving, right? And how the dream drive is a journey and my mom always tells me this, you can't climb a ladder from the top, right? And I think a lot of us need to just get started because the journey itself will take you to where it needs to be, right? You had to go through all those things you went through. You had to have the successes, the failures, the career shifts, all this stuff to get where you are today, Jessica. And I just want people who are listening in to not give up on themselves, because when you stop the journey, you're stopping your future blessings,
Yep, absolutely. You're 100% correct.
So I know our listeners are like, when y'all going to get to the sponsorship talk, right? But I think you have to hear how Jessica got here before we can start, picking her brain and really just having you share some of your best tips that you've learned along the years. So what do you think are some of the biggest things that a lot of people get wrong in their approach to getting sponsors?
Ooh, and their approach to getting sponsors.
Well, what are some of the things that what are the first things we should be thinking about as we think about, hey, I need a sponsor for this? What's kind of like the beginning strategy that you advise your clients?
Ooh, the biggest strategy lesson that I would say is you're worth more than what you're placing your value at. And that's not even just from a sponsorship perspective. That is also from an audience perspective. So when I first started hosting my conference, I was charging $20 for people to come into my experience. And I should have been charging way more. But even when you look at it from a sponsorship perspective, I have people that will go in and take $1,000 or accept $1,000 from a corporate sponsor because they feel like, well, because nobody really knows who I am. This is my first time doing this. This is all I'm going to be able to get. And I'm like, no, you have an audience. You have something that's valuable. You have something that's great. So fully understand, like, if you invested if you know it's going to cost $20,000 to produce your event, and you know that you're going to have a certain caliber of people whose feet are going to walk into that event, are going to be there for that live event, or even that digital experience, you make sure you charge or you value your property or your sponsorship proposal at what it should be. And I think that goes back to not really fully, like, sometimes people don't fully understand their budget. People don't fully understand how much it costs to produce these things. And so they just be coming up with these random numbers in their sponsorship proposals. And I'm like, where are you getting that from? And they're afraid to ask. I have a client right now, that's working with, a company, and she's like, okay, I think, I want to take this. They're talking about in kind. And I said, no, do not take in kind. But thankfully the company came back and said, look, we're willing to give you access or do an email blast to our company database, which we normally charge like $8,000 for just to send out one blast. And they're like, we have over 1 million plus. Here's what our conversion rate is. Here's what our click rate is. So I was like, okay, that's more than the $3,000 that you're asking for. And there's opportunity for those people to convert over and purchase tickets to your digital experience. So I was like, that's the kind of in-kind donation that you want, not just their products, because their products aren't bringing you any type of return. So it's you as a sponsorship seeker, you have to fully understand what is your property valued at? And I think a lot of times sponsorship seekers, they make a huge mistake, myself included. I have made this mistake before, of just being willing to take or ready to accept whatever. And I'm like, no, don't have that mindset. You are worth more than just anything. Know what your worth is. Know your value. Know the value of the experience that you provide to people. That's probably one of the first lessons that I've learned. The second lesson that I would say I've learned as far as also something for sponsorship seekers would be, don't be afraid to take pauses. Don't be afraid to postpone something, and I think this is really relevant to today. Don't be afraid to shift. Don't be afraid to pivot, because at the end of the day, if you want your sponsors to be renewed, if you want them to come on board with you again, you have to continuously stay innovative. And so that might mean you have to switch things up a bit, and that's okay. Even if you have to take a pause to figure out, okay, how can this be more great than what it already is? Or how can we make this great to what's happening today or specific to what's happening today? So don't be afraid of taking pauses. Don't be afraid of that having over communication or over communicating with your sponsors. That's what you should do, because you are building such a unique relationship. And it's a relationship that is developed into a true partnership. It's more than just, I'm collecting this check from this company so I can produce my event. I'm working on a partnership with this company, or I am in partnership with this company, and we are now collaborating together to make both of our brands look extremely valuable to the audience that I am sharing with them, my audience that I am sharing with them.
I have a quick question on that. We can go back to, I know you have some tips set out for us, but You know, you talked about in partnership, and I think a lot of people, I know myself included, I know you guys know that I produced an event for Nikhila Matthews of Side Hustle Pro back in October of 2019, and that was my first time producing a live podcast event. And one of the things that I struggled with was, what are brands looking for, right? Because a lot of times we're pitching what we think we can give to brands, right? But we really should be thinking about, what will the brand get out of this? Can you like answer that question? Like, what's the thing that people who are seeking sponsorship should be thinking about when it comes to ROI for brands?
So I'm really big on just ask the brand. So
just ask them.
Just ask them, because every company is different. So I was literally sitting down with Toyota about a month and a half ago, and when we were chatting, one of the things that she said is, she was like, I can't stand when companies or organizations, they come to us asking for sponsorships, and they'll ask for things that we don't even sponsor. So she was like, for example, we don't do teams. We don't sponsor uniforms for baseball teams or little league football teams and all this stuff. So she was like, why waste our time? You need to fully do your research on that company before you reach out. And that's a huge thing. Like, a lot of times people will just reach out, like, and I use Target as the example all the time. I feel like every influencer, every sponsorship seeker, Target is like number one on their list. And I'm like, okay, but you just told me what your idea is. And if you've done any research on Target, they would have zero interest in what you're trying to offer them. Like, so why waste your time trying to go to this brand? So here's the thing. If you're trying to pitch a new idea to Target or to any other brand that's out there, one of the things that you can do is set up a discovery call. Send them an email and just ask for a call and just say, I really honestly just want to see if what we have in mind would be a good fit before you send out a sponsorship proposal, because this may even give you an opportunity for that person to say, you know what? This may not be a good fit for us, but I do have a couple of other companies, or I have some colleagues of mine that would be interested in something like this. I cannot tell you the number of phone calls I've had with brands where they will push me to a different brand and things end up working out because they knew that the alignment wasn't best fit for theirs, but they knew where the alignment could be placed, or a company that would appreciate something like what I was offering. So I'm really big on, before you start pitching yourself, fully understand, is there any alignment whatsoever with that brand? Because it's going to save you a lot of time. I'm also really big on just saying, one of the ways that you can avoid that is, before you start reaching out to brands, have your sponsorship wish list, or your prospect list is what I like to call it. I usually recommend anywhere from 50 to 100. And when you have that list, make notes on each company where, like, okay, company number one, last year they sponsored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different events that were similar to what I'm doing. So I can make a point of connection there. Company 2, I haven't seen anything that they've done, but I do see from their company website and the research that I've done on some of their LinkedIn profiles that this could possibly work. I just need to find a way to get in the door and make it work. Make sure that the idea is in alignment with some of the initiatives that they've pushed in the past. Somewhat. Let me try and find a way to make a connection. But that's the easiest way. And I think it'll help you save a lot of time and energy on your efforts when you start reaching out to these brands.
Oh, these are all such good tips. And I know another big component of getting sponsors is actually having some sort of sponsorship deck. Do you think it's always needed? What are the most important things that we should be thinking about when creating these sponsorship decks? And I'm asking you this because I downloaded your free, you guys, we'll link to this in the show notes. You have a free offer, right, for people who want to create sponsorship decks on your website.
Yes. So I am the queen of like sponsorship decks because I have so many different templates, but I do have the free sponsorship proposal template that you guys can go and download. But in that template, this is kind of like the beginning template phase. So my templates go, my proposals, they go in phases. So normally any template that I send out or any sponsorship proposal that I send out, it's always unique to the brand. But I'm always communicating to that brand that everything is customizable. So I have like 4 different clients right now who are all working on different projects, but each one of those projects, every time they get into a conversation, they might go in with an initial proposal, but that brand comes back to negotiate. Because when you start asking for a certain, like over a certain threshold of money, like anything usually over 10,000, 15,000, those brands are negotiating. And if it's a smaller brand, even if you're asking for something like 5,000, they're still trying to negotiate with you. So, I start with that proposal, but I make sure that the first initial proposal is filled with lots of data. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of sponsorship seekers lack is they are more so selling the idea instead of selling the audience and the data that they have on their audience. I will tell you that data is always going to get you more. It will always get you more. So just like I was saying, one of my clients, they came back and they said, well, here's what we know, you have your data, but here's ours. We have even greater data that you have. And we think you might want access to our data instead of just our free products. And absolutely right, because data is always going to help you be able to see like, okay, this is the possibility of what our ROI could be. Okay. And so if you don't have data, I would highly recommend that before you start reaching out to any brands, you find a reputable company that can really spiff up your data. That's what I would say. Data is important, and you will see that all throughout the free sponsorship proposal template that I give out to everyone. And it helps you to understand, like, okay, so you got stuff in there about credit card information and vacations and how many kids they have. And I'm like, well, yeah, because if you reach out to Airbnb as a partner, or a sponsor for your event or your retreat that you're hosting, they want to know that these are truly avid travelers that know how to use Airbnb, or they're going to be able to convert them. They have interest. They've actually expressed interest that, oh, I no longer want to stay at Marriott. I'm more interested in using Airbnb or some of the other sites out there. I'd rather stay in a home that's decked out. We travel large with our family of 10 or 12. We want to cook for ourselves and not buy resort food or only eat resort food. We want to, truly experience the culture of the city that we're traveling to. So they really want to know that type of information. They don't just want to hear you say, oh yeah, we have an audience. Okay. How many people in that audience? What percentage of them actually said that they love using Airbnb? What percentage of those prefer to stay at hotels? And what type of activation can we create to bring them over, to convert them over? What kind of offer can we give them to help them since they will be traveling in the next six months? Have they already made hotel reservations, or have they already made reservations through Airbnb? Those are all questions that you should be able to provide, or all data that you should be able to provide to your prospects.
So would you recommend that people use, a lot of third-party data aggregation? So for example, if you have a website, you have Google Analytics, right? Mm-hmm. But would you suggest polling your audience as well?
Absolutely. I think
a lot of people don't do that, right? Because it's like, I won't get everyone to respond. Will it be accurate? There's all these questions and hesitations.
Yep. But there's also companies that you can hire to go out and get that data for you. Like, there's companies that are truly legit. I can't remember. Toyota actually gave me one. I need to go back to my notes. And this is why it's good to build relationships with prospects or with your sponsors. Because once you get in the door with them, girl, I call the sponsors myself, and I'm like, okay, tell me this. And then all that knowledge that they share with me, it's just, knowledge that I'm always happy to go back and share with people who are part of my program. So I have to remember that data, that company that they said, we love it when we get organizations that come to us and they provide data specifically from this company, because we know that it's legit and reputable.
So I have a question, because a lot of dream drivers, they'll say, but my brand is too small. I can't get sponsorships. Jessica, how would you respond?
Oh my gosh. Even as I'm going to answer this question from a sponsorship perspective and from an influencer perspective.
All right.
Your audience size it does not matter if your audience is engaged. Okay. And this is coming from, I've heard this from multiple partners, where it was, I'll tell you a little story. So I sat down with the company and they said, we asked an organization why we should sponsor them. And their response was, oh, well, our president and founder, he has 50,000 followers on Twitter. And they laughed. The brand, they laughed because they were like, well, wait a minute, your 50,000 followers mean absolutely nothing to us if they're not engaged followers. So they said, we've seen a larger return from an organization that only had 500 followers on Instagram, but we were willing to partner with them because we saw the value. We also looked at the metrics. We looked at what they were producing. We looked at their website. We looked at everything. And we could see that they truly had a community of people that really believed in what they were doing. Like they were truly influencing people. And it's the same thing with brands. Me personally, if you look at my page, I don't consider myself to be a brand or someone that has a lot of followers. I would have 14.9 followers on Instagram, but that's not a huge number. But I've done partnerships where my friends who have 40,000 followers and working with brands, and I asked them, how much you get paid for this campaign? I think we're either at the same amount of money or sometimes I'm making more because I understand the value that I provide. I've had brands sat down with brands and let them look at my page to see. And I'm sharing all of this with you to just let you know that it's really about the influence and the impact that you have with your community. Sell the impact, sell the data. You will always win. It's not, and the consistency, your message has to be consistent all throughout. Don't let it be that you give them a sponsorship proposal and you preaching something that they've never seen you preach or post about on your social media pages or on your website. The message needs to be clear, consistent, and concise. So don't think that just because you have a small audience or a small following that you cannot get sponsors. Now, you may not be able to go out there and ask for, a huge significant amount of money, but you will be able to get something. Don't let a small audience automatically keep you from or have you believe in that, oh, they're just going to tell me no. Oh, they're not going to listen to me. If I had that mindset, I would have never gotten any partnerships with Woman of Purpose. Never. Yeah. Because I was I was pitching even with my first conference, and it started with small to medium sized businesses. I wasn't reaching out to, major corporate entities, but at least that helped me to start somewhere. So you have to start somewhere. You have to. And don't be afraid to reach out to some of these startup companies because they be having a lot of money to give to some of these smaller brands.
they got to get rid of it. They got to reinvest it. So
exactly.
When we were talking, Jessica, when we connected, we were talking specifically about, so during the time that we're filming this, we're not filming, that we're taping this, guys, we are living in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole events industry has just been shaken up. And a lot of people who had events had to cancel, postpone them, switching to digital experiences. But also a lot of people are unsure if they should still be trying to get sponsors during a pandemic, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think that it's a go or it's a no?
I definitely think it's a go. I think that, so the other day I got an email from a particular brand, and that brand, they shifted pretty much their whole thing. They have a lot of conferences and stuff planned. I'm sure they've had to change because they can't host their live events anymore. So I noticed that their sponsors are like MasterCard, Microsoft, Stripe. I've seen another one with Zoom. And and the whole event that they're pitching is all digital. So I think that if you have, for those who already have events that are going on, or those that are planning events, in the future, I would highly recommend, yes, get in the door, ask them questions. I have I'm telling you right now, I have clients who are pitching to brands, and those brands are like, hey, yeah, we got money. especially banks. So I think this is a perfect time. This is a time to be innovative. This is a time to not be afraid of, well, I don't know if they're really going to listen to me. I don't know if they're going to respond. This is a time to test the waters. Get out there, put yourself out there, put your idea out there. You have no idea who would be willing to say yes to you. I mean, obviously, make sure your pitch is good. Make sure you got everything together.
Your data.
But yeah, your data. Yeah. But this is a perfect time to pitch. It's a perfect time. And also, too, people are sensitive. You have no idea how people are being affected or impacted by this. So you have brands and companies that are more willing to listen now more than ever, because here's the thing. They're trying to make sure that they look right. They look good. And if you got a really good campaign or a really good event that you're pitching, that really will touch the hearts of people, especially during times like what we're facing right now, of course, they'll go for it. They'll definitely go for it.
So Jessica, you've been helping, you have a whole, and I'll let you tell our audience about your program at the end, but, in building this brand and putting together all this content for people and really helping people achieve their own sponsorship goals, what have been some of the challenges you've been facing now that you've really switched full time to this plan of attack?
Switching full time to the sponsorship lady, it has been honestly, seriously the biggest blessing ever. And I've seen such a great amount, number one, a great amount of income, but also just making a huge difference in people's lives, to see that, wow, I have the funds now. I was able to secure the funds to continue with my dreams and my passions. And I didn't have to spend any money out of pocket. That has helped me. And so I've developed a few different programs to really help people, as well as free resources to really help people. And this is the path that I'm on. I'm actually even getting ready to produce or put out something for influencers as well, because people want to get sponsored as influencers. They want to get, create sponsored content. And so it's really just opened up a lot of doors for me. And I'm excited to just help more and more people make greater impact through the sponsorship lady and all the other things that I have coming up.
One of the things that I always love to ask people is, there must have been a time during this whole process when you felt like giving up, right? What was that thing that kept you going? Because dream driving is not easy, especially this whole sponsorship process. You told me you have a team, but, everyone still is putting in a lot of work. It can be tiring at times. What's that thing that keeps you going?
Girl, I have given up so many times.
We all have, right? It's a struggle.
We all have. But if I had to say what really keeps me going, and I'll be honest, I am one of those that never, ever wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I've just always felt like as my children, I have a son, but I do plan to have more children in the future. But as they get older, I want them to see that mommy and daddy worked hard for what they have. And I don't want my children to ever see that things were just handed to us or given to us. Yes, we are very blessed, but my son is truly my motivation, and also to not just be some woman that is. And I know I don't want to say that every woman who stays at home does this, but I just could never picture myself as someone who is just living at home under her husband. It's never been my dream. And I think that's what really pushes me, is to my kids to one day look at me and say, wow, my mommy is goals. My mommy is truly goals. Mommy worked hard. But also just for myself to know that I was able to achieve everything that I said I would do. Everything that I set my mind to do, I did it. And I have a lot of dreams. I have a lot of big dreams, and I don't plan to ever stop. I think the biggest thing that keeps me going is anytime I go back to that vision in 2009, there was that woman, I think, and I cried when I saw that, because I was like, I've never seen myself in that light. Never. It was a Jessica that I'm like, I'm still reaching for that Jessica. Mm-hmm. It was very powerful. And, when you have those type of encounters, those type of moments you never lose that. You don't ever lose it. And so that vision keeps me going, knowing that one day I'm going to be standing on this stage, and girl, I'm just getting goosebumps even saying it. I'm going to be standing on the stage, and I'm going to be in a room full of 30,000 plus people, and I'm going to be speaking. And this is not going to be me doing some live on Instagram speaking to 30,000 people. This is me going to physically be in a room, and I'm going to be speaking about that same vision that I had in 2009. And it's literally coming to life right before my eyes. That encounter is what pushes me the most, to know that if God, he gave it to me and he sees it for himself, like, okay, he has a bigger vision for me than I have for myself. So my vision needs to become bigger. Like what I'm working on right now, it's only helping me to get there. So that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Jessica. And now, can you tell our dream drivers a little bit more about what you offer, how they can get in contact with you if they'd like to, reach out?
Yeah. So the best way to get in contact with me, I'm always on Instagram. Instagram is like one of my favorite platforms. It's so much fun. I connect with a lot of people there. So you can follow me at The Sponsorship Lady, or you can follow my personal page where I do all my family stuff and also talk about The Sponsorship Lady there. But it's at Jessica Chinyelu, JSSICA. CHINYELU. And then also my programs that I offer. So you can click the link in my bio and see that. But I offer a program called Sold Out, Sponsored, and Secured. It is a 8-week course that really, again, teaches you how to sell out your mission and your vision to your prospects. So that way it'll lead to sponsorship. And then also getting you to a place where those sponsorships for your events programming for the year or for the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, you're able to secure that for years to come with your sponsorships or through your partnerships. So it's a pretty awesome program. I have a VIP program where I give you access to one-on-one coaching with me, as well as a database that I use where I'm able to get all of my sponsors' contact information pretty quickly. It's like LinkedIn times 1,000. And then there's also where I offer a done for you service. That's my most premium package. I don't really offer that a ton, but I still get people who like to hit me up about that. And they're like, look, I don't have the time for this. I just want you and your team to do it. So I do it for them. Yeah. And then I'm also in the process of launching a sponsored membership club for influencers as well as event curators who are just like, look, I can do this thing. I just really need contacts. I need to be connected to these brands. And so I like to call myself the plug to any corporate brand that you're trying to partner with. So those are my programs. And, Raina, what I'd love to do is offer, some type of deal, like some type of special for those who sign up for the program or sign up for calls with me. And yeah, so I'd be happy to give you guys a 20% off code. And all you have to do is use the code DREAMS. That will get you 20% off of any of the programs that I offer.
All right, Jessica. Oh, this has been such an amazing chat. But we can't end this conversation without me asking you this is, if you want to be a dream driver, you have to have your keys to success, right? So Jessica, what are 3 things that you think every dream driver needs in their toolkit before they hit the road?
Ooh, girl. The 3 things that every dream driver needs. Okay. I'm going to say for me, what it is you need to have your contacts. I said earlier, if you're going anywhere, you got to have people in your corner that are going to really help you along the way. So you got to have a phone with the right contacts. So anything that you need, you should be able to get that within minutes. The second thing that I would say is vision. You need to have good vision for where you are going. So if I had to say it would be your map, because I think that your roadmap is going to help you with that vision, and the planning out of where you're going. The third thing that I would say, you definitely need your keys. So those keys are going to be a set of different keys that are going to be able to open the door to any place that you're trying to get to. So I don't believe that there's destinations, but there's stop in destinations, but there are stops along the way, but there's no one point of destination of where you're going. It's a journey. So when you get in that car and you start driving, you want to make sure that when you reach certain destinations, that you're able to have access to what you need. So the right set of keys, make sure you don't lose them. And a spare set of keys as well. You know, you got your spare set of keys and your keys. So those are the three things that I would say.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Once again, Jessica, thank you so much. And our dream drivers, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did.
Yay! I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Raina, for having me. This was honestly super dope, and you're so awesome and incredible. And I'm glad that we connected.
All right, so that was a wrap for episode 243 with Jessica. I hope you enjoyed hearing her dream driving journey as well as her keys to success. So as Jessica mentioned in the episode, if you want to sign up for her course, she is offering a discount from dream drivers. Just go to securesponsorships.teachable.com, right? Enroll in the course. Select which payment plan you want, and then you'll click apply discount code or coupon. Use that code DREAMS, make your payment, and you're enrolled in the course. Also, special thanks to our episode partner, Kamala's Kitchen. Use DID10 for 10% off at checkout, or you can visit dreamsandrive.com/Kamala to learn more. And make sure you guys check out the latest Dreams and Drive in the Kitchen Instagram TV video featuring Kamala's Kitchen and that sweet lemon pepper shrimp recipe that I made. It was super delicious. I used her spicy mango chutney. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you are sharing it with your own communities. We are across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dreams and Drive. Screenshot, share across all those platforms, and use that hashtag Dreams and Drive so that I can go in. People can go in and see who's talking about the show, find other listeners, and engage that way. If you have not gotten your Dreams and Drive t-shirt or crew neck, what are you waiting for? The Dreams and Drive shop is still open. Just go to dreamsanddrive.com/shop to get your merchandise today. If you want to join our weekly newsletter, The Keys, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join. And lastly, guys, please make sure that you are subscribing wherever you're listening. Hit that subscribe button and get notifications every time we have a new episode. And if you're listening to us specifically on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review. Those ratings really do help us move up in the charts and help new people find out about the show. And the reviews are a great way for people to see, like, hey, what do other people think about this? Or why should I listen? So I really appreciate going in and seeing all the stuff that you guys are saying about the show. It goes a long way. It helps a lot. As always, keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 244. Bye, guys.